Let's end the show right now.
You're gonna zipline directly into the harpoon?
Yeah,
What do you know about planes?
I know a lot about planes.
Buckle in, dude. It's gonna suck.
Put your hand on the screen.
How did they find out? Who was the one?
This show has gotten infinitely more gay.
The mystical land of New Jersey.
I don't understand how the laws in this country work anymore.
Welcome to the Rebel Radio Show, live, uncut, and uncensored on WSRR Radio. We're saving the underground music scene. I'm Radio's Rebel DJ Style. Call off the search. We found him.
Holy shit. Where the hell was he?
To my right is Shane E.
Hey, everyone.
We found him wandering in his underwear.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I just woke up and was wandering in my underwear.
We're not going to talk about the passport that you had from England, but
Okay,
I
Walter.
fell asleep after the show on Monday. As soon as we went off air, I fell asleep. Well, 2 Mondays ago.
Yeah.
And then I woke up on like maybe 12 hours ago, Sunday. And I was wandering, and Style was driving down the road.
yeah.
He saw me, and he was like, "What are you doing? Get out of here!" That's how he talks off air.
It is. It's true.
Not
this
the
is all
show.
a voice. Yeah, no,
Not
not
the
on
show.
off air.
But
No, I put on this voice to do off air as well.
Yeah,
Jules
yeah.
is on the board.
Hello.
At least you weren't wandering in Pittsburgh, because we wouldn't have had much help to find you.
yeah, no, at least not between 3 and 7 a.m. That's for damn sure.
That is the witching hour is 3 a.m., right?
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
it is.
The witches are coming out. The cops are going away.
That's why they made the law.
Yeah.
Tell me about this law.
So the Pittsburgh Police Department is apparently understaffed, so much so to the point that they are no longer, I guess, responding to calls that were not in progress before the hours of 3 and 7.
Cue the SpongeBob. I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And any new calls that come in, they're like, nah.
I don't feel like it.
That's so crazy. Because so calls not considered are, quote, in progress emergencies. Or if they're not in
If
progress.
they're not in progress emergencies, they get
won't-
ignored to
Right. They go to
operating system, I guess.
like a dispatch
Do
unit.
they get a voicemail? Do you leave a voicemail for the police
Pro-
to respond back in the morning?
From what I understand, it's something like how a payphone works for prison.
Oh,
Like you
no.
leave your intro message of what's wrong to an
That's
automated
insane.
server, and it dictates it from there. That's what I gather from this article.
See, I am starting to believe that you do get a dispatch, but they tell you like, okay, well, good luck. Like, we're not sending an officer out if that's what you're looking for. Like, I think
What are you gonna be doing at 5?
I think they just
We
write
can schedule an officer.
yeah,
around
yeah,
5 or
yeah.
6
We'll schedule
a.m.
an officer for you. Come do a drive by, but
The-
right
the-
now you're fucked, dude.
Police is about to be your cable guy. He'll be there between any time between
Yeah,
5
yeah.
and 10 a.m.
You just gotta be
Yeah,
ready.
hang tight.
But so that leads me to believe though then that like you're gonna have to it doesn't matter what it is, you're gonna have to make it sound like an emergency.
Right.
Like, there's a problem, help, this is
I'm
it.
dying.
Yeah.
Blood is
That-
everywhere.
I lost my keys. It's an in progress emergency. Send officers quick. It is
It's,
4 a.m.
Imagine, like, because I used to have a car that sucked, and the key didn't work in the door lock, and sometimes my battery would completely take a shit. So when my battery would die, I would not be able to get into my car.
Right.
So I would have to call the non-emergency police to come out to my vehicle to pop it and let me in, so I can get going and figure out how to get
Right.
the battery and, So if that was the situation, I would be chilling
You'd be
on the ground outside my vehicle
You'd be screwed.
until 7 a.m. when the
Yeah.
cops turn on the phones.
I'm about to make a really niche reference. There's an episode of My Name is Earl where there's a security officer, and his whole job is to watch a public bathroom. It's just like a park public
Sick.
bathroom. That's his whole duty. He got demoted. That's what he does now, right? And so a lady comes out and goes, "There's no toilet paper in the women's restroom." And he goes, "I'm an officer of the law. I'm not a custodian." And she goes, "Well, then I'd like to file a report. The toilet paper was stolen." That's what's going to happen right now in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Everything's just gonna start miraculously getting stolen.
Yeah.
And it's an in progress emergency.
Which,
People will just lie. Like,
so, again, this is something that sounds reasonable on paper. I would assume if you're in the office of like, hey, we've noticed a significant decrease in crime over the last couple of years between 7 and 3 a.m. That's a good thing. You should be proud of yourself for that.
right.
At that point, internally, you should be like, all right, well, maybe we don't need to staff as many officers. What you don't do is make a public announcement that there's not going to be
Yeah.
police between certain hours.
Yeah.
Schedule your crime, folks.
Yeah. that's
Yeah.
all- now there's going to be a significant spike between 7 and 3
Right,
a.m.
right, because
3 and 7.
well, and they just outed themselves
7.
for not having enough members on the team
Yeah.
Yeah.
because of staff. They're doing this because they're low on staff. So they're outing themselves as like, hey, we don't have a lot of guys, and we're not going to be patrolling between these hours if
Now crime
anyone
is
wants
just,
to do anything. We're
crime
just
is
letting you
gonna
know.
spike in Pittsburgh.
Dude, we got
Right.
4 hours of purge. That's what that means.
And not gonna lie, I was in Pittsburgh a couple months ago for the Taylor Swift concert, and
So much crime.
it ended like not gonna lie, it was kind of sketchy. We were walking back to the car a couple blocks away because obviously everybody and their mom wanted to see Taylor Swift.
Right.
And we ended up walking behind some tweaker lady that was talking herself down that we weren't going to attack her. Like out loud, she was like, "I'm fine. They're just walking. I'm
Right.
good." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna cross the street now. I need to go home. Mom, can you come pick me up? I'm scared."
Yeah, crazy people are going to be out. And
Call
they-
your mom, not the cops.
I guess.
There's gonna be 2 issues with this. Number one, crime is gonna spike between these hours. Obviously.
pay.
Crime is gonna pay. We need RoboCops.
Yeah,
that
we
we
do.
need.
They
Yeah,
need
we do.
Spider-Man. Like,
Well,
we need
that
a
was my
Pittsburgh
second point. Is
Spider-Man.
there's gonna be more vigilante justice, and
Oh, that'd be so
That's
sick.
gonna-
Crime Watch.
that's gonna in
communities.
turn create more crime, though.
Yeah.
Because you can't operate as a vigilante. It's still illegal.
Dude, I saw a video of someone tackling a shoplifter, and then like he was walking out with like 2 full baskets. It was like a CVS or some shit
Yeah.
like that. He was walking out with 2 full hand baskets of bullshit. I don't know, condoms or shampoo. I don't know, something.
Probably shampoo. Probably 2
CVS
full
stuff.
baskets of shampoo.
I have no idea, but he like dropped it. You know, he gets tackled. He drops
Bath
it all.
salts.
And then he starts like crying, and he's like, "You can't do this! You can't do this! This isn't allowed." And the dude is like putting him in a chokehold. He's like, "Shut the fuck!" Like, he's like, "Shut the hell up, dude!"
You were literally committing a
Yeah,
crime.
you're committing a crime right now. And someone in the comments was like, I'm down for this kind of thing because the stores aren't going to do anything, and it's gotten to the point where people don't care, and they know that the stores won't do anything. So that's why so many people steal nowadays, and I'm okay with like people stepping in and taking action where the
Right.
police won't or shops won't. And I was like, damn, that's radical as hell, but that's also like that's radical as hell, bro.
Probably needed.
That's probably sick. Like that's sick as fuck. That's a sick thing to say. Like it's probably true.
I've seen both sides of it where there's like civilians helping cops and then like civilians not helping cops, and when like somebody's running away, like where
Yeah.
they trip them, and
Yeah.
the cops like, "Oh, thanks."
It's
guy,"
a
or-
weird double-edged sword, especially if you're the person on the scene, because like if you interfere, you could be charged for interfering in a police
Yeah.
investigation.
Right.
That's something that could very well happen, and you could get yourself some criminal charges.
Sure.
That's one side of the argument. On the other side of the argument, you want to do the right thing, and in your case, like you see someone shoplifting, the store's not doing anything. If there's security that's not doing anything, like
Right.
you'd like to do the right thing and be like, all right, this isn't cool. Something needs done here.
Yeah, just for me, like I reading that comment, I think lit a fire under my ass. I was like, "Yeah, you're right. I'm not gonna stand there." And granted, I've never like run into a shoplifter or anything. I've never had a run
Didn't
in
you?
with a shoplifter.
Didn't you? Someone stole something from a gas station while you were there?
I
that
didn't.
happen?
I didn't know at the
Listen.
time that I know what you're talking about. I didn't know at the time that they were thieving and they were committing thievery. I thought that I just knew the people from outside of there, and then they got arrested. And I was
Then the thievery became apparent.
Right,
If you want to
right.
hear more about that, you can go back and listen to Off Air.
yeah.
the man who has a gas station drink, and then the one that he pays for.
That's listen. You guys really like to dog on me on that, but it's so easy to do, and no one. That is a victimless crime. That is a victimless crime right there.
All right.
Something like stealing like 50. Listen, you guys are really trying to pop off on this milkshake on this.
There's milkshakes now too.
What is it? Fucking
They're like
smoothie?
$5.
Slushies.
Listen,
Slushies.
This is the economy here.
Listen, Jules, I don't give a shit about $5 I'm walking around the gas station for
The
5
gas
minutes.
station does.
Listen.
I know the gas station gives a shit about $5
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't.
That's
they
why
don't.
they put the fucking price on it.
They don't care.
That's
They're-
why they sell
it's-
it at $5.
listen to this capitalist right here. Oh, yeah, up with big money, huh? No, dude.
I wish I could be up with big money.
Okay. That is really not a big deal at all. Like, you guys really like to make a meme out of that, and I understand it's silly, but I'm talking about if I see someone stealing in a store, I'm not going to be afraid to, like, not stand there awkwardly, and I'm going to be like, yo, you fucker, like, stop that shit, bro.
What if
All
somebody
right, hang
did
on.
it to you at
no,
the
no,
gas
no,
station?
no, no, hang on. Let me
Then
intervene.
Then I would be like, fuck you, dude. It's a slushy. And they wouldn't know that because I throw it out and then I leave.
What if they watched you?
If someone walks out of the 7-Eleven, I'm kicking their fucking ass in the 7-Eleven parking lot. If they say, hey, man, you didn't pay for that slushie, and they're not wearing a 7-Eleven shirt, I'm curb stomping their teeth. Their teeth are going to turn into dust.
All right, let me play devil's advocate here for a second.
Sure.
There's levels to
This is a silly thing that you guys.
No,
this
no,
is
no,
a
no.
silly hill
Well,
that you
no,
guys
no,
are trying
that's-
to die
no,
on.
no. That's
It's
exactly,
a slushy,
it's
and I
silly.
do it like once a month, maybe.
It's his cheat day.
Yeah.
Oh, time to do a little stealing. I've been
Yeah.
good this month.
You know,
No,
if I don't think about it, like, I
listen,
don't
no,
know.
there's levels to it.
Yeah.
We meme on it because it's funny. It's a goofy
It's
little
funny.
thing. And
It's funny.
like you said, worst case scenario, what? They yell at you and you pay $1.
Right.
Like that's
It's a
very
victimless.
minimum.
It's a victimless crime.
When I say there's levels, you are level 1. You are like,
Yeah.
guy walks in. Even if I'm observer in the gas station,
I'm level 1, 110%.
Shane's level. Shane walks in, goes, gets a slushie, and starts drinking it. And I watch him walk out, and I go, "That's pretty funny. You didn't pay for the slushie." I'm not saying you leave the store with it. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
saying if
that's-
that's the case.
If I leave the store with it, that's level 1. I don't even
That's
leave
right.
the
Shane
store
Shane
with
drinks
it.
the whole thing in the store. And
I don't even drink the whole thing. I drink like 4 sips of it, and then I throw out a third of a slushie that they're not going to use.
That's somehow worse.
I
But
don't
still,
think it
level
is.
1. That's level 1. If I saw that, I would think it's funny.
But I digress.
But I digress. My brother Ethan heard this story and went, "Oh no, that's no, I get it. Sometimes I walk in and just eat a donut. That's level 2.
What?
That's level 2, man. You're consuming an entire donut that's in their display. Again, you could make the same argument of it's not a big deal, but like, dude walks in, eats the whole donut in the store, and then might not buy anything and leaves.
See, that's
It's free donut day.
the origin of my slushy thing. It comes from a buddy of mine, but I think more retroactively. My mom we would go grocery shopping, and my mom would get a drink out of the cooler and drink it while we were shopping, and then pay for the empty bottle at
Yeah,
the end.
you can do that because you're paying for it.
Right. I think mine is just like the vigilante step of that. Like, I'm just like, well, I didn't want this slushy. I'm buying a Pepsi.
I'm
Buy slushy.
determined.
It didn't taste good. That's my opinion.
I'm determined. Just because you can convince yourself that that was the vigilante move there, you could be the like biggest hardened criminal and convince yourself you're doing right. Like you could be the nation's #1 meth dealer and you'd be like, yeah, but like when you look at it, it's kind of vigilante.
It's called gaslighting.
I think legally, I don't like the item, so I throw it away. And I apply that same rule to, well, it's the rule of announcing it. I don't like this. This is gross. Toss it in the trash. That flavor of slushy is not good.
Do you do that every time?
That is the
or do
legal.
you go like, yuck?
I mean, I don't think I do that every
Is that
time.
your
but,
out?
but
That's
I
your
think that's my
safeguard?
out. That's my safeguard. And the same thing applies when I walk into a Panera Bread and say, I love being a part of the Sips Club, and I grab one of the drinks and I pour myself a drink.
This gets worse. Level 3 was
If I announce it, they can't do anything about I'm a part of the Sips Club.
216-859-8699. Let me know if you're part of the Sips Club.
He's out in the car, listening to the Rebel Radio Show.
Thank you, AARP. Third time's the charm, guys. Okay,
It happens to
You
me
know
all
all
the
good
time,
things.
don't
You
worry.
know that all good things come in threes.
Don't worry, it
okay?
happens to me all the time, buddy.
That's why we have 3 people on the show. That's why 3 is my favorite number. All right, what are we talking about?
Dude, race help Raisdale.
Yeah.
AARP apparently.
Yeah. What is that?
American
American average role
retirement
playing.
plan, something retirement plan.
Average
some-
Americans role play.
That's not that's not it.
lightning bolt. Lightning bolt.
All right. You're listening to the Rebel Radio Show. We're live every Monday, 5 p.m. on WSRR Radio. You can get it at the Live 365
You can
app.
get it.
You can get it. You can get these hands. You can get it at the Live 365 app or stylesrebelradio.com. 216-859-8699 is that number to text in. If you want to contribute to the show or if you're trying to fill out an application, not for the show, just in general, you can use this as a reference. 216-859-8699. Go ahead.
I'll answer the call.
Yeah, go ahead and
yeah,
list
he's
this
a
as a
good
reference.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
That's
worked
the-
for me for 12 years.
That's the real
He's
use.
great.
Don't say that it's the Rebel Radio Show. Don't say it's the Rebel Hotline. Be like, oh, yeah, no, I worked at FedEx. And give them our number.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
We'll vouch for you.
Yeah.
216-859-8699. Go ahead, write it on your resume.
I'm gonna do that.
You should.
I'm gonna put that on my own
Their
resume.
Excel reports were flawless.
Have you ever been called as a reference?
Yes.
No, I wish.
have?
Yeah.
That'd be so awesome. I wish. I'm not cool enough to be a reference on someone else's resume. I'm
Well,
not there yet.
I'm not that level.
Yeah.
so
Only level 1.
technically, I referred the person, so they had
Oh,
to check
that's
me out.
not. That doesn't count. You had direct correlation. They didn't just
Yeah.
choose you. They're like, oh, this is the guy we want to call. They didn't choose you. All right.
That would be so crazy.
To
Have
get
you
the call.
ever gotten a
I have.
reference call?
I've had friends reach out to me and be like, "Hey, so and so called me as a reference." I've been told
Okay.
people have called my references. I've never been the reference that was called,
Right.
which is a shame.
Yeah.
I'd like to be the reference.
I know. I would like to be the reference too.
I don't know
That'd
if
be
I could
sick.
trust myself. It depends on who, but I don't know if I could trust myself.
I would jerk the person off. I'd be like, "Oh, they're great. They're the best person ever. Yeah, they can
if
whatever the job
Pidge,
is."
if like the Pidge put me down as a reference, which I'm pretty sure he has before. I don't know. Depending on the job, I don't know if I'd be
Yeah.
able to be the best
Dude,
reference.
if the Pidge used me as a reference and I got called for his most recent job, I'd be like, "Oh, he's sick at driving. You should see him.
Dude drifts
he can
all
go.
the
He
time.
can go so fast."
Make sure to check out the Pigeonhole on stylesrebradio.com. But the reason we're talking about this is because companies like Olive Garden and FedEx now are forcing applicants to take they're calling it a personality test. Essentially what you do is, so I've taken some weird tests
Yeah.
for applications before.
Right.
I've had to take math tests and like IQ test kind of things, skill
Those sound
challenges.
weird,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't remember what jobs these were. I think one was GameStop, which is really weird.
I took like a IQ like a social test.
Yeah.
And that felt strange to me.
And like, yeah, so I've taken weird tests like that before, and I'm like taking it. I'm like, this is weird. I don't know why I'm doing brain games right now to
Right.
fucking work at GameStop.
Right.
So that was weird. But now they've taken it to the next level because there's this weird. It looks like the metaverse. It's a weird AI module. You
Yeah.
have to create a blue avatar that looks like just the god awful Gen Z Smurf.
It looks like it's out of the metaverse.
What's
Yeah.
that Disney movie Outworld or whatever?
Inside Out?
No.
Asking the wrong
Are
guy
you
here.
talking about the one where they turn into
They're-
fish?
No, they're like
The people-
brothers, and
You're thinking of
they have to
SpongeBob.
go find their dad or something.
They're thinking of Nemo.
Oh, I know what one you're talking about, but I
That's
don't
what-
remember what it's called.
I never watched
Yeah.
it, but I know like the movie looks like those people.
Yeah.
If you know what it's called, 216-859-8699. But yeah, no, you had to make this weird blue troll-like avatar and then join this virtual simulation to take a quote-unquote personality test.
Oh, it's
The guy was applying for a dishwasher job, by the way. It's not
Yeah.
like he was GM or something.
right.
Dude wanted to wash dishes at Olive Garden.
Onward.
He had to make it's called Onward. He had to make a fucking metaverse
Right.
character.
I saw a meme earlier that makes me think about this. It's a kid in a GameStop or something. Goes, oh, I'm so excited to get this game. Right, gets the game, goes home. First thing on the screen, make an account. Oh, I don't want to play this game anymore. That's where we're
Yeah.
at. The amount of times I've gotten a game or downloaded something, it's like, okay, now make an account for it.
Dude. If I'm ever applying for a job and I hit a create a character screen, I'm Xing. I'm leaving.
But
I'm leaving the interview.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But
Yeah, it
However-
seems too much.
However, if the premise is, and I don't know what else this entails. I'm sure there's like some kind of interaction you have to do with this avatar and training games or whatever you have to play with it. I'm sure
assuming,
that's what it
yeah,
is.
There's an app that's connected to
Right.
it, and that's your account, and that's your character for your account.
But
or
if
whatever.
if I'm the person administering this, if the entire personality test, and unbeknownst to the applicant, if it was just, hey, create a character, and based on the character you create, I get to judge your
Oh, that'd be
application.
sick.
That's where I'm okay with it.
Like, whoa, this guy's purple and he's wearing a rice field hat. He's
Hell
in.
yeah.
He's
Hell yeah, dude,
he's
that's my
hired.
dishwasher.
He's got a big long white Fu Manchu.
Dude,
He's in.
imagine you apply for a job, you go through all the application process, and the last thing is like, all right, character creation screen.
Yeah,
You're like,
dude. I'm going crazy. I'm going nuts with it.
Do you think it's because like people don't really like having like ID pictures anymore?
but they're not using it for anything.
Well, you
Here's the thing.
maybe they could have them as their like ID profile
how-
picture.
No. How many times have you gone to Olive Garden and seen an ID picture? They're not carrying around fucking backstage passes.
I know they have like no.
Name tags, maybe.
I see like your point, Jules, with like if you don't want to put your picture on the company messaging app or
Yeah.
something like that. I completely get that, and there should be an option to like create an avatar or something like that. I don't think that. I don't think that is insanely common. I think that there are people who do that, like don't want to put their picture out there, and I
Yeah.
1000% respect that. But I think a lot of people have like a generic profile picture at the ready in today's modern era. You know, there's just something that you can pick that's safe for whatever account you're trying to create.
That was my point too. Is I think we're overthinking it. If that's where we're going, you don't need to make an avatar or take a picture. Like the only times I've ever been in like company message boards or their training protocol or something like that, they've just had stock photos to choose from. Like when I worked at GameStop, you had to do things called level ups, and essentially it's like training on new games coming out. So you
Okay.
read and take a quiz,
Right.
5 questions, whatever. So it's like, okay, here's the new Call of Duty. Here's what you need to know about it to sell it.
Right.
Cool. Half the time we didn't do them.
Right.
I like
Um,
that you leveled up at.
Yeah, that's
GameStop.
right. Yeah, but like default, it gave you like generic game pictures or flowers or whatever, and
Right.
then as you do it, you unlocked characters and shit.
Right.
But like, I would assume that's pretty common as far not the level ups, but like having just generic pictures to choose from if you have a company wide site,
Yeah.
or it's just email generic silhouette man.
Well, yeah, or it's like the logo of the company.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's stuff like that that's definitely in play, and I think, like, to tack on, I just feel like they're probably in today's modern era, there are probably a lot of people nowadays who like don't want their picture out,
Right.
if
So-
they don't have to.
Sure.
For example, my company during onboarding,
SpaceX.
when no,
Yeah, baby.
during onboarding when you're like very first hired, the front desk lady takes your picture in front of the wall with her iPhone, and that is your picture.
But you
forever.
Right.
have name badges and access to doors that picture is on.
Yeah.
Olive Garden doesn't. That's the moral of the.
That's
This is.
Yeah.
There's no message board for the dishwasher at Olive Garden.
Yeah.
There's maybe a group text if you're lucky
If I'm reaching to explain this,
for the screen.
If
Hand
I'm-
on the screen.
if I'm reaching, I would say this could potentially be a like profile for an app that is exclusive to the Olive Garden crew members, and then that is like your portal to
Imagine
get to.
being on the creative app team for that.
I'm just thinking. Imagine coming to Olive Garden from any other job, right? And they're like, "Oh no, this is our messaging form." You're like, "Okay, yeah, no, that's normal." And you get on, it's a fucking metaverse full of blue Smurf
Right.
trolls, and you're like, "This
you have
is
to download the Olive Garden team app,
Yeah.
and then create a character. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be like, what the fuck?
it's just an MMORPG
What
for
the
Olive
hell's
Garden."
going on? I can level up. Dude, I just came here to watch some freaking dishes. Yeah.
You gotta
NFTs.
you gotta log into the app and then
Yeah.
find your coworker and
Yeah,
ask him to
yeah.
cover your shift.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Walk around in the world map.
Yeah. Yeah. I
For-
would be so.
From all we know, it's used as a personality test. It says, which Again, the only thing I can gather from it, I'm sure there's some kind of test that follows after character creation, but I'm just thinking they're judging them on the character, because I would. Because I 100% would. If this is like a Fortune 500 company and you show up and make a mad scientist with blue skin, you're probably not getting the job. If you make you, I'm like, all right, this is a pretty level-headed guy. Now, if I'm at Olive Garden and my dishwasher makes crazy scientist with blue hair, I'm like, you know what?
That guy's pretty.
That tracks.
That guy's pretty sick. Listen to this. Listen to this little tidbit. So at Olive Garden, when you apply for the job, you talk to an AI chatbot named Olivia, and
Rodrigo.
named after and using the likeness of Paradox founder's fiance. So I'm assuming Paradox is the company that
Yeah.
created the AI and the face models and shit, you know. So that's crazy to me that you would use. I don't know if I would do that.
We were joking around at the break about the Pittsburgh police department not being
Yeah.
open past 3 a.m.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you call them, you're just going to get an Indian call center
Yeah.
that tries to redirect your call.
Yeah.
How many times have
So
you had to like call Amazon or call some kind of support and get that call center and be like, I just need to talk to someone who knows what I'm doing
Dude.
here, or like put me in contact with. I can call the Walmart up the street and they'll send me to Dubai, and I'm like, dude, I
Yeah.
just want to know if you have charcoal. Like that's all I need to know.
Well, I feel like
I'm just trying to wash dishes, man. I don't need to do all this.
at this point, it's so hard to talk to a real person, like
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get help nowadays. You're either talking to a robot or you're on like a messaging, like you're texting an
Yeah.
AI bot that's trying to help you, and I hate it. So I just want to talk to someone
Yeah.
who's working for the company and can say, "Oh, you did this wrong. Do this."
The
You know?
worst part is the AI bot. You have to ask or answer all of their questions
To
before you
get
get
to-
to the
yeah.
normal
Right.
person,
And then maybe
you,
they'll call you.
Right.
then you have to answer the same question.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're not going to read.
Well, it's just
or
like
didn't
applying for a
know.
job.
Yeah,
N-
Submit your
yeah,
application 6 times.
now. Yeah.
I'm to the point now, and I've done this the past couple times where I need to reach out to support for something. I will send my message. If I get a reply back that doesn't answer my question, I will reiterate what I asked and then say, here's my number, call me.
Yeah.
Call me if you want me to elaborate further.
Right.
Like, I'm
Right.
giving you the option
Right.
to call me to solve this problem because I don't want to deal with your automation system again. Or, like, lose the support ticket and I have to redo the automation and go through 6 tiers of management again. 216-859-8699. There's real people on that line. Gyros at Arby's are
They're
pretty
euros,
good.
but yeah. I hate that you call them fucking gyros.
They're gyros.
They're euros. It's a Greek word. Damn
I'm
it.
not Greek.
It's a Greek
I'm
word.
not
Damn it.
Greek.
Dude, get him to the Greek.
I'm not Greek. I don't go in the fucking.
Why do you call it Parmesan? It's Parmesan then for you, buddy.
No, it's not.
Parmigiano.
I'm not
It's
Greek.
called a fucking euro.
I don't drive through Taco Bell and go, yeah, let me get pollo. I don't do that. I say
Ugh.
chicken because I'm not Mexican.
Yeah, Evan, I don't go through the drive-thru and say, I want spaghetti. I say, give me the noodles.
Welcome back to the Rebel Radio Show. When you're here, your family.
Yeah, baby.
Definitely not taken from anywhere else with blue avatars.
No, that's us.
Welcome back to the show where we talk about things that piss me off today. You know,
wait, listen to this.
Yeah.
Here's welcome to the show. This things that poop me off today. Whoa.
Dude. Nice.
Thank you.
If you're watching the simulcast on YouTube live today, you saw that sweet high five. Maybe it was probably not in shot.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about self-checkout. And we've talked about self-checkout before here and there. I know this because it's something that we definitely talked about on the show. And then we've definitely brought in, like, 9 different occasions, something going on with self-checkout. And we're like, yeah, but is
Yeah.
that really news?
The thing is, self-checkout, it's new, and that is part of what makes it interesting. But it's also, like, you're giving the people the power.
Yeah.
And I think that's in and lies the problem.
Well, I'm going to say 90% of the time is we have a self-checkout story that gets brought in that we don't end up talking about.
Yeah.
It's usually like, someone stole something from self-checkout, or security asked to see my receipt. And my stance is always, if you're giving me the power of self-checkout, then trust me to self-checkout. If you don't trust me, hire a cashier.
Right.
It's as simple as that. That was always my stance on it. I will say, there was a time where I give myself a little discount of self-checkout from now and then.
Oh yeah, dude. Just fucking
Slushy.
putting my nutsack up on the barcode, ringing it out as some grapes, and then putting a PS5 in my cart.
Yeah, dude, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Do that shit all the time. That's level 2.
We got to bag them. You got to bag them, too. You got so it looks like kiwis, you know?
Yeah.
2 kiwis. But they started installing cameras on self-checkout, which isn't an issue. I get it. It's to reduce theft. It works. The problem is when I do scan something and it tells me I didn't, and then it won't let me check out. I don't know if you've ever had that happen, but I have. I've also had where I get to the checkout and see how much I'm spending and go, ooh, I don't want this, and I set it off to the side, and the camera sees that and goes, you didn't pay for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I-
my issue with the camera.
See, the camera's fine. I've only ever had self checkout work in my favor where I've rung things up, and they were one price on the shelf, but they were a different price when I rang it up.
That's what I'm saying.
And it's the same product, just at a discounted rate. And I was like, oh shit, okay.
It's not slushies. That's why. That's why you've never
Yeah.
encountered an issue with self checkout.
Oh,
It's
that's
because
true.
you don't have to
That's
pay
true.
for a slushie at self checkout. But now you're not going to have the ability to use self checkout anymore. It's a privilege.
Want.
It's a privilege. You have to buy a subscription to Walmart to use self checkout now. Is that what's happening?
Walmart
Yes.
Plus.
So
Walmart Plus.
Walmart has always had a subscription section of their whatever. I've never done it, so I don't really know, and I am not going to, so I'm not going
I'll
to.
say this as a testimonial. Not for Walmart. The only time I have ever had credit card information stolen where money was being taken out of my bank account actively, theft, credit fraud,
Theft.
was from the Walmart app.
That's true.
Someone hacked my Walmart app, and because my card was on there, they bought weird purchases. They bought like a 55-inch TV and then like 7 dolls from The Shining.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's very weird.
But it was like a $500 something purchase, and I
Yeah.
saw it in real time because I had the app, and the notification came on my phone of like, your purchase has been
Wow.
shipped. And I went, I didn't buy anything.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you called? Did you report the theft?
Well,
or-
I called my bank,
Yeah.
and I'm like, hey, this isn't me. You guys need to stop this transaction.
Right.
And so like they're like, all right, well, we're gonna freeze your account, whatever, refund the money, report it to Walmart, and it took me. I couldn't get a hold of anyone on support at Walmart because
There
it was
you
like
go.
2 a.m, so I couldn't get a hold of anyone. I kept getting automation.
Dude, that's like the Pittsburgh police, man.
Dude, I felt like I was in Pittsburgh.
2 and 7. Between 2 and 7, you're not getting a call center at Walmart.
You're screwed. Your money's gone. But no, I finally got the charges reversed and everything, and just deleted my account. But I'm like, yeah, nope,
Interesting.
we'll never make another Walmart account regardless.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
Very,
and it's
very
not like I had
interesting.
Plus, so I can only imagine if I was paying a
Yeah,
subscription
right,
service.
Right.
But anyway, so they want everybody to basically have Walmart Plus.
Right.
The premise is that if you are a Walmart Plus member, then you will have access to the self-checkout. However, if it is a busy time of the day and there's a lot of things going on, they don't have enough staff or whatever,
Right. Again, Pittsburgh police.
they're going to open up the self-checkout to non-premium plus payers or buyers or whatever.
Right.
Customers.
Just regular
Average Joe.
cowpoke like you and I.
And then you can go ahead and pay and leave like a regular person.
Like a free account holder, yeah. So this isn't new.
Boycott Walmart.
Well, they've had the premium checkout for a while. I've seen them in Walmart.
What?
So typically, at least Walmarts around here, you have self-checkout on either end of the store.
Yes.
The lines of 25 registers in the middle that maybe 2 of them are open.
Yeah.
And then right before the second self-checkout on one side, you have like a lane of maybe 4 self-checkouts that's got a sign over it that says you got to have Plus or this account to use these ones.
Oh.
I never see anyone in those, number one.
Oh, I did not know about
Yeah,
that.
next time you go to Walmart, keep your eye out.
And I bet they are there, and I just
Right.
have never noticed them. That's
Usually
interesting.
they're near the like Walmart Pay area, like the spot where people cash their checks or get money from.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
But that's been a thing for a while.
Sure.
So, like, I knew this was going on. I didn't think they'd rule out self-checkout. But here's
Right.
my bigger issue with ruling out self-checkout. You're going to make, just like the Pittsburgh PD, you're going to make the PPD, you're going to make more work for yourself. Because now, if all of self-checkout works like this,
Yeah.
and it's not ruled busy hours, they don't have surge pricing. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
If it's not busy hours and people that can only use the self-checkout with the app,
Right.
that means you got to staff people to check things out for all of us guest accounts. You gotta let people check
Right.
out with other people. Then, if we can't use the self-checkout,
Right.
we talked about this weeks ago. We've gone so far backwards in grocery shopping and stores. Like the 12-item or less line doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
I thought that was the greatest thing when I was a
Yeah.
kid. And, like, I wasn't doing the shopping, but I'm like, damn, that's quick as hell. I'm coming in for a carton of eggs. I'm getting out with the carton of eggs in 5 minutes.
Right.
Why isn't that a thing? Why can't we just staff people to check people out? Why do I have to have a subscription to go to Walmart?
The whole subscription, like,
And Target's doing this too, by the way.
it's
So
crazy.
Walmart is Sam's Club now.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's crazy, but it makes sense to me. And yeah, I guess Sam's Club has always been a thing, and that's not really looked at as a
Sam's
crazy.
Club, Costco.
That's not
that
looked
type
at, but
of
that's
vibe.
more for like you're getting a
Bulk.
bigger. You're getting bulk for a
Yeah.
better rate.
Yeah.
You know?
So I don't have a Sam's Club membership.
or
I've-
Costco,
or
anything
Costco
like
or BJ's, yeah.
anything like that.
There's another one too, but
Yeah.
any of those bulk food retailers, I don't subscribe to that theory, but I understand it.
I think it does make sense. I think if
Yeah.
like for big families
Sure.
and like
Sure.
shit like that can make sense in certain scenarios.
I don't plan that far ahead with food, and
Right.
it's a downside. That's,
Right.
that's on me for doing that.
Sure.
However, if I did, that would be a smart thing to do because like you are paying, and you can go into Sam's Club. You just can't buy anything.
Yeah.
You have to have a membership, which is like what so many bucks a month,
Yeah.
Yeah.
something like that.
It's like 12 or something. Like,
Okay.
Probably more now, and I bet there's tiers to it and
Right.
shit. I don't know, but
I'm a level 3 Sam's member, dude. You better watch out.
I'm at Zeno.
I was gonna say I'm so
Xenu.
close to meeting Xenu. that's how you buy your way into Scientology. You got to be at least a level 15 Sam's member first, then you can start learning about Xenu. But no, I understand the process of like, okay, at least I get you're paying for the service because you're getting a lot more at a cheaper rate.
right.
Because
Yeah.
though there is a trade-off here. Yes, you're canceling it out by paying for your subscription, but there is a trade-off. You are getting something in return. They're making me pay for what I was already getting. It's the same shit as when Netflix goes, oh, well, we have to add ads now, or you can pay more to not have them. I was already paying to not have them, and you changed the system. Why would I pay more now?
So here's my only like rebuttal and big takeaway on all of this is like, so my fiance has a Target Circle membership, and she has a Target Circle card and uses both frequently. We go to Target a lot. and she gets points. She gets money off of like she can redeem whatever and get $5 off her purchase, and then there are certain things where if she spends X amount of money on specific items, she gets gift cards. So she's gotten like $20 gift cards back from buying like just things that she needed because of the circle. And like, where I'm going is, if there are perks to the Walmart Plus and to the Target Circle,
There probably is.
I can understand that. This does not seem like a perk to me.
That's my issue. Is
This
I
seems like-
understand that, but they're trying to
You put
beef
a
up the perks.
You put a paywall
Yeah.
in front of the easiest way to
Yeah.
do the process, and like, I feel like we were just having a conversation less than 8 months ago about, man, nobody works at the cash registers anymore. There's literally only a couple people looking at self-checkout. And everyone went to self-checkout,
Right.
and that's what everyone did. And now they're trying to take it away again, or now that it has become popularized,
Yeah.
they're trying to take it away. I think, yeah, you're going to have to, what you said, Style, you're going to have to hire more people, but, like, it's also just, it's going to make the regular cowpoke like you and I, the regular layman who isn't subscribed to Walmart Plus or Target, whatever, it's going to piss us off.
Just
And we're
because-
not going to go there.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Mark's or Drug Mart
Meijer.
or Meijer or Wegman or fucking Wawa, whatever. I don't fucking know. You're going to go somewhere else.
Fucking
That isn't...
sweet Wegmans pull.
Dude, I'm trying to think other, other places, bro.
I wonder if they will post their like surge pricing hours.
So let's talk about that real quick, because we keep bringing up that term.
Yeah.
If you don't know what surge pricing is, and it seems like it happened overnight. Literally, like in the span of 24 hours, it was announced and gotten rid of.
Well, yeah, because you brought it up before we
Yeah.
went on about surge pricing and how Wendy's was going to do so. Because I had
Yeah.
forgot about that.
So-
Because it, like how you exactly said, it came and it went away so quick that I...
From what I understand, surge pricing, it probably didn't come from this, but it's recently been popularized by like DoorDash.
Yeah.
So you'll know if you use like a DoorDash or an Instacart or something like this in like peak hours, we'll say. Like if you're,
Which
if
is
you're
so
ordering-
dumb because they make up the peak hour.
Yes.
They don't
Yeah.
matter.
I mean, we talked about it years ago, but there was we had the picture of someone would order DoorDash and got the Chicago fee. There's just a $2 fee. That's the Chicago
yeah,
fee.
right.
Like, okay, I'm just paying because I'm in
Okay.
Chicago.
The
Right.
iPhone fee.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, iPhones got charged more at one point too. But like, they'll set their peak hours and they'll say, okay, well, even if you have Dash Pass, if you have DoorDash Plus, if you order within these hours, you're going to get charged a little more. There's service fees on top of your service fees and on top of your tax. You're going to have to pay more because you want to eat at dinner time.
Right.
That's what surge pricing is essentially.
Right.
So the price is not stable. It varies depending on when you are purchasing.
The other one that I had heard was dynamic pricing.
Yes,
That was the
yes.
other one that I had heard, to surge and dynamic.
Which I worked somewhere that had surge pricing technically, and I never thought about it. I used to work at a bowling alley, and obviously we have leagues, and obviously everyone wants to bowl on the weekends.
Right.
Because that's when you're free.
Right,
So
right.
during the week, if we didn't have leagues, you paid like, it was $20 for an hour or something like that, and you got up to 6 people for that $20. So like, you bring 6 people, it's $20 for an hour. Not a terrible deal.
Right.
But if you came on the weekend, it was $25 an hour. Because, higher demand,
Right,
supply and
right.
demand, which I guess that's what this really is just supply and demand.
Yeah.
Just to an extremely stupid extent.
Yes.
So like,
Wendy's came out and said, oh, well, we're going to start experimenting with surge pricing in stores.
Yeah.
So if you come at 3 in the morning and get a Baconator, it might be $5. But if you come at 5 p.m. around dinner time and get one, it might be $7.
Right.
The fuck?
Crazy.
Which-
Crazy.
I just won't eat at Wendy's, like you were saying with Walmart. Just not go.
which when you think about it, it really just inconveniences the average person.
Yeah.
Because you get a 12 o'clock break at lunchtime from your work. You go to Wendy's.
Guess what? 1 hour of special surge pricing.
Yeah.
Your fries are $15.
It's literally the opposite of happy hour.
So
Right,
now
right.
every
Unhappy
day
hour.
you're
Sad
paying
hour.
the highest price for your lunch.
But the thing is, that's the point. they know that that's when it's going to be busiest. They're going to be the most full, so they're going to charge you more because they
But-
know you're still going to go no matter what.
No, hang on.
But doesn't that create the inverse? Aren't people going to start
Yeah.
going at the lesser hours and create the surge that way?
Yeah, 100%. They're going to have to end up just switching the surge hours after they're not going to get any business during normal dinner time.
Well, that's why it's dynamic.
Yeah, because it can.
It changes.
Yeah, it can fluctuate.
That's fucked.
Hey, Pittsburgh PD, pick up the phone and listen to this one, all right? If you do this, if you make your hours fluctuate, people are just going to go around these hours. That's just what you're going to have happen.
They should come up with like dynamic policing. maybe surge hours for police officers. There'll be 15 cops on one block.
They just need to use the
That's just called
Boston
Parma, dude.
Dynamics.
That's just called Parma, Ohio, man.
It's called Ridge Road, baby.
They just
You get pulled over for a speeding ticket, 8 cops.
Yeah,
You call
yeah.
someone for a burglary, you might get one.
Yeah, maybe.
Replace-
Depends on when you call.
Right.
replace the cops with AI and Boston Dynamics.
Then you have to go through
Whoa.
telemarketing for that.
That'd be great. Yeah, then you'd have to go through. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now you're really calling.
Could you describe the issue?
call centers? Yeah, this whole surge pricing.
Which
and
let me specify real quick. I was pumped when I heard about this initially because I'm like, surge pricing. Fuck yeah, they're bringing back surge. That shit was awesome. And then I realized what it
yes.
was.
Listen, I was pumped for that because I knew we had a show like the next day, and then
And then within
woke
24
up,
hours.
and it was like, yeah, no, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah,
People were
that was
angry.
the other thing. I forgot about it because it was such a big story of what the fuck are they doing that they went back immediately and were like, sorry, never mind.
They were bullied
Yeah.
hard.
Wendy's execs and Pittsburgh PD got one thing in common. Stop announcing your plans to jack
yeah.
people up, man.
Dude, okay, Wheezy once said, real G's move in silence like lasagna. So, maybe just, take that one and run with it.
Hang on, what am I missing from that?
Real G's
Yeah, uh-huh.
move in silence
Oh,
like lasagna.
the G's.
Gotcha, okay. Sorry, that went over my head.
Real G's move in silence,
I'm
baby.
not a real G.
Real G's move
Not
in
a real G.
silence.
Fake G over here. 3G over here.
Call me Gail because you can hear that shit.
That was stupid.
I know.
I can't get
I'm
over
gonna
how
fire
stupid that
myself.
was.
Bye.
You're lucky our HR is on surge hours right now.
But this whole like surge dynamic pricing thing and then like the subscription to it's also crazy. This is all insane,
It's
right?
the economy.
We've gotten to the point where it's just like, well, let's try something new. We have a system that works, but let's try something new.
Because like
Could we make more money?
Yeah,
they're
that's all
probably
it
gonna
is.
these companies might take a hit, probably will take a little bit of a hit,
Yeah.
but it's really up to them to decide if it's enough of a hit to stop doing it.
So, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Let's
Like,
clarify too, because I know we've talked about it a little bit. Wendy's announced this, like at the start of a day, it went viral because everyone's making the memes of, "Oh, dude, you got to buy low, sell high on your fucking 4 for 4. You got a 4 for 4 for $8 today, hit the peak." So it became viral, and everyone started memeing on surge pricing. And by the end of the day, the CEO had announced, "Yeah, we're not going to do surge pricing, guys.
Yeah.
We take back our statements." No, that's the stupidest business model. Like, at least I can comprehend the thought process between the Walmart premium of like, well, we want to give people benefits to join our membership, right? At least I get that. You telling me someone's gonna be okay coming to Wendy's one day and spending $5 on a burger, and the next day they spend 10?
There's already a little bit of like benefits from having Walmart Premium. You get to get the Apple Pay service. because
seriously?
Yeah, because Walmart is the only place that doesn't have Apple Pay. So if you have Walmart Pay, you can pay with the app on.
How long
That's
becomes
silly.
How long before
That's
that becomes a
silly.
federal law?
that
Apple Pay?
everywhere has to have.
Yeah,
Apple
because I
Pay.
mean there were places.
Oh,
that,
I
like,
bet.
Well, there were places
I-
that used to just not take card, and there were places that used to
Yeah.
not take checks.
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure that's coming down the line.
Yeah,
Like you have to be able to accept virtual payment.
yeah.
There's plenty
That's
of other like
probably
Yeah.
probably very soon.
discounts that you get at Walmart when you pay the premium. But like, who
But
the
you're not
fuck
gonna get
wants to
discounted
pay
for
the
paying.
premium at fucking Walmart? If I want to pay the premium, I'm gonna go to a different store that sells better shit.
I think the moral of the story here is if you're paying for Walmart Premium, you should feel bad.
Yeah.
What are you
feel
doing,
fucking
man?
Bad.
Buy a Sam's Club membership at that point. At least you're getting a bigger trade-off.
It just it bothers me where it bothers me is the fact that we had self checkout and
Yeah.
it worked so well, and like
They even have it at like CVS,
so much
and
so
Dollar
much
General.
so that like there was an influx of everybody used self checkout and nobody used rate, to the point where
Yeah.
regular checkouts were pretty much no one was at them. They
Yeah.
were just people
Yeah.
watching the self checkouts, and so like I don't know. No, it was so popular. I think that we can find a happy medium, and I think that's what maybe they're trying to do with something like this, is find the happy medium
Right.
of like some people use checkout and some people use self checkout. But I don't think.
They're doing it the wrong way by
Yeah, I think maybe you close it on certain days of the week and then open it. Like maybe self checkout is open on for everybody
Yeah.
on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and or like the weekends.
that would
Yeah.
be perfectly
You know,
fine.
and then weekdays self checkout is closed.
But the only way I can see people being happy with that trade-off is if during the hours that it is like closed to the regular person or
Mhm.
whatever, all of the regular checkouts are staffed.
I'll tell you
Yeah,
one
that's the
thing.
other
You
thing.
need to be able to walk into Walmart and see workers checking out
At
people
every
and
single checkout thing.
know you're going to be able
We're
to get out of
overthinking it.
there.
Or
We're
maybe
overthinking
even
it.
like take away like 3 of the checkouts that are there, and that's fine.
We're
but-
overthinking it. There's one thing that Walmart could do to get me to become a member, and it would work hands down overnight. I'd sign up for an account. If you told me if I sign up for Walmart Premium Plus,
Mhm.
I would have access to 24-hour Walmart again.
Ooh. That is
Start checking QR codes at the door.
that
You
would be
know?
wild. That would be wild, and I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened with like, well, because I've never seen a 24-hour Target, but
Walmart after
Walmart
dark.
has been 24 hours forever. That's always been a thing.
I'm saying you killed two birds with one stone, because I was a big Walmart 3am kind of guy. That's why I did my shopping.
Yeah,
It's a lot quieter. You get a lot of the odder crowd.
of
I'll
course.
say
but
that.
that's what you're kind of going for that, honestly.
Your third shift workers.
But you kill two birds with one stone. If Walmart Plus or Premium or whatever the fuck they call it, if that's your ticket in, you gotta have a QR code to get in at past a certain time. They got bouncers at the door at the
Oh,
Walmart.
yeah. It won't be as many.
Yeah,
Can
There
I
won't
get
be as
chipped
many
by
weirdos.
Walmart?
it's gonna have to be people that
Gonna
are
be
paying
regular
to get
people,
in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then it'll just be all the people that just happen to also be up late and active.
yeah, dude. Club Mart,
Interesting.
Club Mart.
Very interesting.
Then you bring back the deli open at late night at Walmart and have them frying up snacks at the counter
Dude,
there.
Late night deli at Walmart would be crazy.
Walmart CEO, give me a ring. 216-859-8699.
Dude, yeah. That would be so awesome.
Anyone who's making a store needs to take this business model right here. Fuck surge pricing, dude.
Well, it's just that COVID killed every 20, like, nothing is 24 hours anymore. You
But
know?
it's been 4 years.
Right.
216-859-8699. Let me know if you'd buy a subscription to Club Mart.
You're listening to the Rebel Radio Show.
You know, for the third week in a row, I'm just chugging ayahuasca. It's a crutch.
Would you do an ayahuasca
No.
tour thing?
No.
So immediately ready to turn that heel. Just so immediately, not even a thought.
He's
Grace's
watched
head.
so many
It
videos.
was so like instantly no. Obviously not, dipshit. Why would I ever consider? What makes you think I would ever consider that? The fact that I say constantly that I'm presently doing ayahuasca? Maybe. I don't know.
You're shopping at Walmart with Premium Plus. I'm shopping at stylesrebelradio.com/merch. We're not the same, buddy.
Not the same at all.
Welcome back to the Rebel Radio Show, live, uncut, and uncensored, every Monday on WSRR Radio. You can take it with you anywhere you go. Hell yeah. On
Yeah.
Live 365 or stylesrebelradio.com. To my right is Shani.
Hey, everyone.
On the board is Jules.
Hello.
You having fun over there with Windows?
Oh, I'm jumping out of them.
Dude, you sound like someone on a Boeing flight right now.
Whoa.
Ayo. Let's talk about Boeing for a while. You know more about this than I do with this guy.
I know a good bit.
He's a whistleblower.
Yeah,
He's,
so
he's blowing whistles.
I'm not exactly sure what his exact job title was. I'm sure he was in maintenance.
He was a mechanic.
But he was testifying against Boeing in their court case, and he was testifying against the production of the door latches and the everything that's been going wrong, basically.
Yes, so real quick, we talked a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
probably about 2 months ago now, about how not one but two different instances where a door flew off a plane
Yeah, bad.
during the flight.
Bad.
Yeah,
Not
which
good.
one was on like takeoff and one was on descension.
Yeah.
Strange timings, like the best timings we said, because you're not midair and people are getting sucked out.
Right, right,
But it's strange. It happened like twice in the span of a week.
right.
Yeah.
They were both Boeings. On top of this, just this week, there was an instance where a stewardess on a plane like pushed a button or flipped a switch or something, and it sent the plane down, almost like a nosedive kind of thing, from what I understand. And everybody who was on board fucking flew up and hit the ceiling of the plane because of the pressure change, or because of the momentum shift, rather.
That's insane.
because they just immediately went
Yeah.
Right,
nosediving.
right.
And there was like 50 people that were injured from it.
yeah.
Another Boeing.
I had not heard about that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
But recently there's been there was an instance. Hold on, let me actually pull everything up that I know about. On March 4th, a plane engine caught on fire.
Sweet.
On
Love
March,
it.
March 7th, a wheel fell off, damaging cars below.
That's crazy.
And
Imagine a wheel just falling on your car from God,
It
from
didn't-
above.
It never really dawned on me till I watched Breaking Bad, but like plane debris, one of the scariest things ever.
Anything like that, like the more and more I learn, or at least as I was growing up and learning about space and comets and shit like that, like things falling from space
Yeah.
and hitting Earth is like totally feasible, and it could just happen randomly, and we would only get like 7 minutes to know and prepare, and then it's
you
like,
just
well,
wait. You just
right,
wait.
Right.
Or something like this happens where a plane explodes and there's
Right,
just debris
right.
over several hundreds of miles, and what do?
Multiple states, right?
You get destruction. You wait and get hit.
Yeah, you just move.
You
hopefully you
hope,
run.
yeah, you hope you're not in the field.
Right.
on March 8th, there was a plane that the landing gear didn't work correctly, and it slid off the end of the runway in Houston.
And
I do remember that.
To clarify, these are all Boeing instances,
Yes.
right? With the company Boeing, or with the company
Boeing
yes,
planes.
company
these are
Blo-
Boeing aircraft.
Excuse
Yeah.
me. Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Just wanted to
Of
thank
multiple
you.
different makes, right? Like models?
Yes.
Okay.
Just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
March 9th, whistleblower John Barnett, quote unquote, takes his own life.
Yeah, so let's talk about John. Let's talk about John Barnett real quick. So John Barnett, he's the whistleblower for Boeing. He was in the middle of a court case, I believe. Like it's the
Yes.
second day of the hearing or something like that, where he's taking what he was finding while working at Boeing. He had made several reports, one back in 2018, early 2019, that was just they're leaving metal shavings in the engines of these planes, and it's causing wires to get cut and a bunch of mechanical failure, and it's like a known issue within Boeing that hasn't been addressed and nothing's being done about it. So he brought that up, and that had a federal law passed or some kind of inspection passed from was the FAA that's in charge of flights and things like that,
Yes.
flight regulation.
Yes.
The FAA made Boeing, they went in and made them do an inspection, make sure that was a step in the process to remove these metal shavings from engines and stuff like that. But there were a whole bunch of other safety protocols that this guy lists out, and he talks specifically about the doors that just happened this year, right? It wasn't even
Yeah.
last year, 2024. He talks about, he's like, no, we knew that the latches on the doors weren't up to par. Like, they were cheaply made, they were poorly put on there, like, and it was an issue that had been brought up before and nothing was done about it. So this guy is basically just out here saying, like, we know that these are issues and we know that we're cutting corners and we know that this is cheaply manufactured, and the execs at Boeing just didn't care. So he comes out and says all this stuff. The second day of this court hearing, he doesn't show up. They send the police out to his apartment where he's staying to go get him and see why he's going to be held in contempt of court for not showing up. And they find him dead in his car from a gunshot wound.
In the parking lot.
That's pretty
sus.
freaking insane. Yeah, so he literally was going in that day for, well, like the day that he didn't show up.
Yeah.
He was going in for more questioning.
Yeah.
They're just gonna be, which is like, getting more evidence, learning more.
Um,
That's so insane to me.
Yeah.
That
I-
stuff like this just happens, and we're just like, oh, it's crazy.
All of the time, yeah.
Well, all of the internet is basically saying this guy did not kill himself.
Right.
There's
That's the point. Like,
But also,
it happens all the time.
I want to bring up, I apparently did know about the event you were speaking of. However, it was labeled by Boeing a technical event.
what?
Mm.
The
oh,
nosedive.
Yeah, Shane had it up on the screen a second ago. It was March 11th.
Yes. It hospitalized 5 people.
Yeah, but 50 were injured in
Yes.
it that because they didn't have their seatbelts buckled or whatever it is. 50 passengers injured after Boeing 787 9 Dreamliner dropped suddenly midair. Yeah.
And then the final one that I had for this month, at least so far,
Yeah.
is on March 13th, where there was a fuel leak.
That says March 13th. There's a fuel leak.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
on
it says.
15th,
That's
you
what
said
she said.
15th. Didn't
No,
you?
she said
Oh, I'm
13th.
sorry, I was reading 15th. March 15th is the last one that's on here.
Oh, okay.
Boeing plane arrives in Oregon missing an external panel. That was like, what, 2 days
That
ago?
was a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
this
after
is-
all my research.
This is still being... There's still issues happening.
Damn. A Boeing 737-800 en route from San Francisco to Medford, Oregon arrived Friday with an external panel that had already begun, or that had apparently been lost in flight. The debacle shut down Rogue Valley International Medford Airport temporarily while staff searched for the panel. What? But it was not recovered on site. United note that the missing panel was on the underside of the plane where
Hell
the
yeah.
wings meet the body. What?
Hell
What was
yeah.
it doing under there? What the fuck?
I have an update. Now, this I don't know. I didn't do much research into this. It just came through.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's from ABC News. Austin has a post here that says, Boeing whistleblower warned friends and family not to believe suicide story if he ends up dead.
Wow. That's crazy.
Nobody is. Literally everyone
Yeah.
on the internet and everyone that I've spoken to, because this has become my little passion project.
But here's the issue. No one believes it, but what was it ruled? What was it officially ruled?
a suicide.
Exactly. So it doesn't matter what anyone believes now.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, literally.
It was already ruled a suicide, which is crazy because, like, I feel like we talked about this when we talked about the people that we talked about before that got us kicked off Facebook.
Yeah.
I feel like when we talked about that, it seems typically it takes a couple days, a week, maybe 2 weeks to get a coroner's report, cause of death, right? It's
Mhm.
usually
Yeah.
not instant unless it's like something really common, like a heart attack or a gunshot wound or something like that.
Mhm.
Which I guess this is a gunshot wound, but they ruled it suicide. They ruled it self-inflicted gunshot wound within a day. It seemed like.
It reminds me a lot of the Clinton story.
Yeah,
when
well,
they
that was the
were-
name I was trying to avoid.
I apologize.
Because we're probably gonna get kicked off of YouTube now too.
Well, I don't know. We're testing the waters. We haven't been
We'll
kicked
see.
up
We'll
yet.
find out. They like us.
We're going to Twitch next if that happens. So get prepared. Make a Twitch account, guys.
The instance where they found the guy on that ranch,
Oh yeah.
where they like rolled up and they were like, oh yeah, he did it to himself, like immediately.
Yeah, and there was no gun.
Yeah.
And there was boxes of shotgun shells in
the
his
car.
car. Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
And there,
guys,
wasn't there
uh,
blood in the car too, or something
Yeah.
like that? Yeah.
Have you guys seen the Netflix docuseries about the Murdaugh family,
No.
Murdaugh trials?
No.
You would fucking love it.
What is it?
It's so like this family that was they were like high in the judicial government, like the governing system of I forget some southern state.
Sure.
And the son of the dad, who was like the head judge of that county or whatever, got in a boating accident and killed like one of his friends or two of his friends and injured a couple others.
Mhm.
Flipped a boat, drunk boating.
Sure.
And tried to cover it up. Ended up killing his there was the grand judge like killed his family members and ended up going to court and like they found out all of this stuff and it was crazy. But essentially, this family was running the government and like to the point of
Cover-ups and
like
dirty
they were
everything.
the family went to the hospital and there were like officers that went to the hospital and closed off doors so that certain people could
Oh,
ask
wow.
them certain questions and you don't say this thing and you
Right.
come to me and don't talk to anyone else. So like it doesn't surprise me that shit like this does happen. It's just so like god damn when
Right.
when's the other shoe gonna drop, you know?
It's- That's exactly it, man. It's when's the other shoe gonna drop? I was thinking about this there's something we'll talk about here in a little bit. I don't want to spoil it yet. But there's something we're gonna talk about in a little bit. And I was thinking about it last night while I was watching it, and it's very much Boeing ties in nicely to this is of we live in a society now where
we live in a society.
we do live in a
Mhm.
society. We have all this stuff and we're just waiting for the bad to come out, it seems like.
Mhm.
At any point, any company, any brand can be like, oh, well, this is the next big scandal. They're the bad company now.
Right.
We saw it with Subway with Jared.
Right.
No one would have seen that coming, right? It took
Right.
everyone by surprise. Oh, your top mascot that you've been banking on Subway marketing for the past 4 years is a pedophile.
Right.
Awesome.
Right.
All of the Epstein shit happened, and we're like, no one. It seemed like this guy was off to begin with, but he was just random rich guy.
Right.
And then you realize he's a massive child sex trafficking overlord.
Ringleader, right.
Yeah, like awesome, and all these people are tied to that.
Right.
Awesome, and then we hear about Disney scandals. Awesome, and it's like every so often there's that next big company that's like, oh, they're the bad company now.
Right.
It's not to the extent of child sex trafficking, sure, but when you have a known issue that's, oh no, this is a company-wide thing that's been known that these planes are being manufactured cheaply, and it's been brought up, and there's concerns, and we're going to
Right.
court about it,
Right.
and no one cares. And I found this out doing my research too. There's two major plane companies that make 90% of the planes in America.
I believe
and
that.
Boeing is one of them.
Yeah, I believe that.
So like a lot of their stuff is government funded.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it is really scary to like look out and in every corner it's like, okay, well, when's the next big bad guy
Yeah.
gonna, turn the corner and show his big spooky and we're gonna be point and say, you're the bad guy now, you're
Yep.
the bad guy
I
now.
mean, every day there's a hey boycott Starbucks, hey boycott
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A.
Well, I mean,
hey,
the whole
for little things.
cancel culture is like I could get on
Yeah.
a whole tirade about cancel culture, but like just
But when it comes to
all
like
of these companies
safety.
all of these companies who like have a lot of money and have a lot of play, they have a lot of say,
Yeah.
and they're important because of how long they've been in the game and how much money they have, and all of these huge companies. And it's like, okay, like I said, we're waiting for the other shoe to drop of like, when's that bad thing that we all are waiting for to happen? When's it gonna fucking
Yeah.
happen, and which one is it gonna be?
I feel
Which
like
company are we gonna have to,
Yeah.
And it's
Mhm.
super like, it puts everyone on edge.
I feel like massively as a society, because we do live in a society,
Yeah.
we're very bad at picking our battles when it comes to, because we talk about cancel culture all the time, like, oh, we have to not watch this show, or we have to boycott
Right.
this restaurant, or
Right.
someone said something that hurt someone's feelings here, so fuck this actor, right?
Right.
That'll get everybody up in arms, and people will block you and go at you in comments and come at you and not like you because of that, right? Because you like an
Mhm.
actor.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, we know companies like this exists. We've seen the lawsuits with Meta selling data.
Right.
We've seen the lawsuits with TikTok selling stuff to the Chinese. Like, we have all of these big companies that are known issues, and you can even put the whole Epstein thing into this too, because there's still people linked to that aren't being investigated.
Right.
That still have TV shows. That still are political figures. Like, we know these are issues, and if you ask anyone about it, they'll go, "Oh yeah, no, that's a huge issue. We don't like that company." But you still have a Facebook account, but you still have an Instagram account, but you're still using their product, but
Right.
you're still using TikTok, but you know it's a bad thing, but rather than focus on that bad thing, you're going to say, "Oh, well, Starbucks did this. I won't drink there anymore. Fuck them. They're fascists."
Well, yeah, it's because, dude, you want to get deep? We're all stupid, dumb gummy brains, and we all just want to be pointing mad at something instead of, like, take a second and really digest what deeper issues are and how to solve them. Instead, we're just, fuck you, you're canceled. Okay, they're done. We can't intake their content anymore. Boop, next thing. You know, like, that's how our brains work now, and we can't fix problems like fucking Boeing being a terrible plane manufacturing company.
Which,
But
out
we're
of
stuck with them.
nowhere,
Yeah.
We're literally stuck with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
they had like gradual instances, like starting in 2018 and like throughout. But the first week of the year was when that plane fell off, or that plane door fell off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I'll talk about it when we come back from break. But, and we're going to dig into the conspiracy side here a little bit with these two. I got two major instances that involve Boeings, and I just think it's interesting that it had to be a Boeing. 216-859-8699. Let me know if you found any plane debris from Boeing.
Hey, this is Felicia,
And this is Josh from Year of October.
and you're listening to Styles Rebel Radio.
Whoever is the owner of the gray sedan, you left the Rebel Radio Show playing.
You said before we went to break that all of these Boeing instances were within the last year and it's been a gradual decline. I don't believe that.
Oh,
Welcome back to the Rebel Radio Show.
elaborate, please.
Huh?
Elaborate, please.
Here's the thing. I know I'm leaning into the conspiracy side of this now, but there's two major
not?
instances that both involve Boeings. And yes, I understand that they're probably the biggest plane provider. Provider, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Manufacturer.
Manufacturer.
Producer.
Yeah, something.
Biggest plane company in at least America.
There's like a couple big ones. There's Cessna, Boeing, Gulfstream, Bombardier.
I wish I could remember what the other, but there's two major ones that control the majority of American commercial airlines, and Boeing is the biggest.
is one.
Yes, I don't remember what the second one is, but I'm pretty sure Boeing is the biggest, but it's in the top two. But Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 was a Boeing 777.
Oh boy, here
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
I'm just okay. No, hear me out. Listen, I know it's a stretch, but
Stretch it out, baby.
But Boeing was worried about information that we all already know as public information, that these planes are breaking and don't work. That's essentially what this guy was saying, the whistleblower.
Yeah.
The whistleblower was saying, hey, here's why all these things are happening, and it's a known issue. Here you go. And they were so worried about that information that was already public knowledge getting out. They murdered this man, allegedly. They murdered this man, allegedly. And if they're willing to do
Real
that,
Alec Baldwin out here
well,
at Boeing.
if they're willing to do that to cover up something that's already public knowledge, what we still can't find MH370? If they're in the cover up game, I can't think of a bigger cover up than a whole missing 777.
Yeah, they could just have it somewhere.
That's what I'm saying. Something could have went wrong, and it's gone.
I heard that
There was a goodbye message on the transmission. We played it on air.
there was a also a little blip with aircraft. I'm not sure if it was a Boeing, but it was during 9/11 that there was an aircraft that was the only aircraft in the Cleveland airspace that was also the same registered tail number
Yeah.
as the aircraft that was shot down over Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so there's a whole conspiracy with Cleveland and regarding the 9/11 thing, because apparently, and I don't know if it was just the Pentagon one or if it was the ones that hit the towers as well, but the plane going to the Pentagon, or I'm sorry, going to the White House, that's what it
Yeah.
was. That was the one that was shot down.
Yeah.
The plane going to the White House had a tail number that was incorrect, and it belonged to a plane that was just a commercial plane in Cleveland that was like in the airspace in Cleveland. So like the tail number was completely wrong
Right.
that was reported on it.
Right.
So like that's a weird code. How often does that happen?
Right.
And
That shouldn't happen very often.
I'm fairly
Right.
certain that the aircraft that was in the Cleveland airspace was a Boeing aircraft.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because my second point was that the planes that hit each tower were Boeings.
Oh,
Ha ha.
dude.
So I'm saying, and again, I have to put the disclaimer of conspiracy here, but I'm saying if they're willing to cover up this murder, if they're the biggest commercial airline provider and they do a lot of work under the federal government because of it, who's to say the federal government doesn't have some pull when it comes to which planes they're using to take down some controlled demolition?
Boeing definitely blew up those fucking towers.
I'm just saying, man.
I know it.
Boeing at least had a part in it. We need to look at the Boeing stock. We need to look at Boeing pay-ins and outs on September 10th, 11th, and 12th, because I guarantee you someone got a payday if they were using Boeings.
I'm gonna say 6 months later. Look at it 6 months later.
I'm just saying, if the plan here, and we're going to go into the conspiracy of the false flag policy for 9/11, if you want more information in detail, you can go back and listen to our conspiracy show about that. However, if that's the plan we're going under, this had to be orchestrated down to a T, right?
To a T.
So they got to know which planes are going into these towers.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're like, hey, Boeing, we need a couple planes that'll just dissipate
Yeah. Yeah.
when they hit these towers. And Boeing's like, oh, we know how to make planes fall apart.
We know. Oh, we know a thing or two. About
I'm
making
just saying,
some planes fall
Hey,
apart.
buddy.
I think Boeing got a nice payout from this.
Boeing's like, hey, listen, our planes are actually shit. Doors fall off, but people don't care about that right now because we don't have phones.
People don't
Is
know
it-
about
was
that
it-
right now.
was it United
the internet
Airlines?
doesn't exist yet.
Was it United Airlines?
A lot of these instances are United
no, was that the
Airlines.
flight that was taken over for 9/11? Were they United Airlines flights?
Yes.
'Cause I know-
I believe so.
I could be
Yeah.
wrong. We want to fact check that, but that is the company who
I'm pretty sure.
the flights were through. I've seen get a lot of shit on 9/11. It's like, well, they should have done a better job, or the staff should have done this, and like that's certainly an argument. But
Right.
I feel like, have we looked at Boeing's pay record and who they received money from during this time? I feel like there might be a payout there.
How do we know that the quote-unquote hijackers didn't work for Boeing? And
Whoa.
this was all...
That's crazy. They're really just they they take off their mask and it's just a Boeing employee. They have a Boeing shirt on. Haha.
Oh,
Some Scooby-Doo
side
shit.
Yeah.
Side note: the Boeing T-shirt on Amazon is 20% off right now.
Oh, good. Good.
They're not making enough money on it.
Get a sweet deal.
While we're in the headspace, guys, people of the internet, while we're in the headspace of looking back at all these instances of Boeing, because people have been just compiling these things.
Mhm.
I mean, we have a list of it we pulled up right here.
Yeah.
That's updated till 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So while we're in the headspace of finding all these issues and making them public knowledge, let's see how many national tragedies with planes were Boeings. I'm just saying, it couldn't hurt to throw that out there, right? I feel like it's kind of a coincidence that MH370 was a Boeing and 9/11 was. Now I know the ones that hit the towers were Boeings. I can't, I can't talk about the Pentagon or the one that was shot down. I don't know for a fact if those were Boeings, but I did look up that
Well, the one on the
2 planes that allegedly hit 2 towers were Boeings.
I don't believe the one on the Pentagon was a Boeing, because when we looked at it,
Well, the one at the Pentagon was a missile, so there's that.
it was like a completely different. Because we saw the pictures,
Yeah.
during our conspiracy episode, and it was like a very small aircraft.
Yeah.
And it hit the
Because it was
only
a
part
missile.
of the Pentagon that nobody was at and
Right,
was under
because it was a
construction.
missile.
All right, guys, I can't say where I'm getting this information from, but I have a sneaking suspicion that Boeing might have killed Amelia Earhart. All right? I think they are,
I heard they found her.
no, they found her, but they didn't tell anyone.
I heard that
They killed her, and then they found her, and then they didn't tell anyone.
little known fact, Boeing employed Helen Keller.
Oh, my God.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
she flew
God.
planes.
She flew a plane my ass. I mean, we talked about that 4 years ago now, but I'm sorry, I'm not buying that Helen
the
Keller
one-
flew a plane.
Listen, she's the one that took the nosedive.
Yeah, that's why. That was really what set him off.
Guys,
Helen
I'm
Keller's
starting
been
to think,
designing these.
I'm starting to think Boeing started Al Qaeda.
So far, since the beginning of the year, they've lost $40 million since all of these instances.
Yeah, probably.
Yep.
They're doing a lot of bad things right now.
Listen, all right, hang on. This is time for some goo brain thought.
Oh boy.
Planes have been around a while.
Yes.
We should have this down to a science by now. It shouldn't be. It's like, everyone can manufacture a car. You can start a car company and start making cars. We know the base model of how to make a car. We should know how to make a plane by now,
Sure.
right? So why can't another company just come take over?
Well, that's the thing.
It's the
Money.
monopoly.
Money.
It's time. It's time.
And
But
also,
it's so
Rise up.
hard. What are you
Rise
gonna
up.
do? What are you gonna do? You gonna start a plane company?
Down with Boeing. I might. I just fucking might. Don't push me.
The
There's-
Rebel Aviation Crew.
Rebel Airlines.
Rebel Airlines.
also with aviation, there's different.
Thank you for flying RA.
There's different companies that specialize in different parts. Like Bombardier, they specialize in the engines. So like you can have an Embraer aircraft with a Bombardier engine.
French. I picked up on that. I heard that.
Okay, but the same thing works for cars. Ford imports things from China all the time from Chinese
Okay.
companies.
Hey, don't say that shit about my fucking. All right, don't say that shit about.
Chevy imports things
So-
all the time from companies
Yeah, they
overseas.
do,
All
those
right,
fucking
fucking
pussies.
Chevy drivers.
You can
fucking
say the same
pussies.
thing
No
about
Chevy
cars.
drivers listen to this show.
So you can say the same thing about cars.
Right, but
Why
I'm-
is nobody coming in and replacing this shit? Because the shit that we
They
have
are.
works.
They are. Do you know how many car companies there are?
Are
That's the
people
thing.
buying them?
No,
Yeah.
no. Yes, they are. Because here's the thing: Boeing is one of two that provide 90% of commercial airlines. Ford is not one of two. Chevy is
Comparatively-
not one of two. Lincoln is not one of two. Honda is not one of two.
Comparatively, look at-
Suzuki. I don't think they make cars.
They do.
actually.
I think they do.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
comparatively, look at how much it costs to make each one of those products. You're comparing literally mountains to molehilles.
But there are other plane companies, is what I'm saying. We
Yes.
have, so step up. Now is your time to shine. No. Listen, now is your time to market. Hire a fucking marketing team, because if I'm JYC Aircrafts and I don't know, I'm making up a company now. If I'm JYC Aircraft that makes planes and we've never had a damn shot because Boeing has a monopoly, now's my time to go to United Airlines and say, hey, you see all this shit going on? Use our planes instead because they don't do this.
Well,
now is your time.
I'm not too sure, but we don't know. Boeing could have the patent for the 747, the 787.
They don't need to make a 747. They don't need to do that. They can do their own. They can do their own.
Dude, make a 748.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Where the hell is the 748 been?
1738.
Dude, make the 1738.
Give me a 750, bro.
Yeah, get the 7 out of there. Round numbers, boys.
Fuck it. Call Tony Hawk. Get the 900. Let's do this thing.
Get the Birdman on the line.
All right, we're spinning 3 times, baby.
360 no scoping. Dude, get the Birdman on the line. Get him in charge of the numbers. I don't know. Why are they called 47s? Is it something to do with the horsepower?
I don't know anything.
Plane power?
They use bird power.
That's
They're
right, my
falcon
bad.
power.
I'm not sure
Eagle power, baby.
about any of the things with the like commercial aircraft.
Because they all end in 7. There's the 7, 77, 47, 37, 27. I'm done with it. I'm done with those auction ass things. Give me a round number.
Bring in the 8.
Bring in the dude. If I'm flying a 738, they better watch out.
Oh man. Wait, why doesn't? Okay, listen.
Wait,
I don't love
maybe
Elon.
it's because
He could start an
6
aviation company.
It's
though.
not, there's so many millionaires and so many billionaires.
Maybe it's because 6 is always afraid of 7 because 7, 8,
7, 8,
9.
9. No 9s in the sky. Only 7s.
And no 12s between 3 and 7.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we call that a number joke.
We call that the fucking Pittsburgh special, baby.
That is the most math you'll ever hear on this radio show. I'll tell you what.
Come back at 5 for surge pricing. 216-859-8699. There's some more numbers for you. Give me a text during the break.
You're listening to the Rebel Radio Show, legal in 47 states.
We did a little foreshadowing earlier. I don't remember what I said. That was
for those of you
foreshadowing.
who read books. That's when we we mentioned something that we're gonna talk about later. So
Or we give context to
give
something.
a clue to
Yeah.
something that we're gonna.
There you
Well,
go.
let me tell you something. It's later.
Let me tell you.
Hey, later.
Let me talk to you. So
Yeah.
here's the thing. We mentioned that's what it was. Any day, any corporation could be the next big bad guy. We could find out about some big scandal, and as a society, because we live in one,
Right.
we'll say, "Oh, they're bad. Don't trust them ever again. That's the bad entity,"
Right.
and then not actually care after that and continue consuming the product. But over the week, I guess, I think these aired Friday night or Sunday night. There's a new docuseries on IDTV or on HBO Max, not sponsored by HBO Max, but we'd like to be.
Well, wait, it's actually just Max now. Not sponsored by Max,
But
we'd like to be.
See, look at that. We'll cut back to that. It'll be like nothing ever happened, Max. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a new docuseries that came out. 2 parts right now, 2 episodes. There's a new one out either tonight or in a couple days.
Yeah. Do you know how many parts it's going to be? Sorry to...
So I was under the impression it was 2 parts,
Oh.
but there was another episode coming out.
Oh, okay.
So
it felt finished?
No, it did not at all. No,
okay,
it
okay.
felt like it didn't even get started because I watched it. It's called
Interesting.
Quiet on the Set,
Uh-huh.
and it's about the scandals between or backstage at Nickelodeon. I mean, we've heard about Dan Schneider being a huge fucking creep and pedophile for all these years, and
Who's the other one? Bell, his last name
yes,
was?
Peck. There's one
Or
that's
Peck. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Peck.
no other.
Josh?
Yeah, not
but
Josh.
not Josh. We're not
That's is that why
related
you
to
said
Josh.
Bell because
Yeah, I knew it was the same last name of one of them.
yeah, it's Peck, something Peck. Joe maybe. I don't remember the name. Don't quote me. But there's several instances. So I watched the docuseries last night. It's 2 parts right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not spoiling anything because again, it's one of those things you kind of know going into it. It's like Leaving
Right.
Neverland.
Right.
But like, not only it's mainly about Dan Schneider. The story
Oh, really?
mainly focuses on Dan Schneider.
Oh,
and
really?
Yeah. So
That's sick.
the
'cause-
whole first episode is just kind of about like where he came from, his interactions with people, the shady business practices he had.
'cause
That's majorly the first episode.
I feel like that was always something that, like, I've been seeing a lot of it on social media of, like, we've been talking about Dan Schneider for a long time, and, like, all the weird things that he did. We've
Yeah.
been only talking about it for a long time, and nothing has ever gotten
It's
done
like
about
everything
it.
we've talked about today.
I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Jeanette McCurdy.
Yeah.
She.
Right, she released a whole fucking book, and
Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't about Dan Schneider, but, like, it definitely did not
Yeah.
paint him
It's
in
a
a good light,
Very
you know?
good book, though. If
Yeah.
anybody wants to check it out, it's called "I'm Glad My Mom Died."
Yeah.
Not sponsored by Jeanette McCurdy.
But,
But
we'd
we'd
like,
like
to
to
be.
be.
That'd be
Hell
fun.
yeah!
Jeanette, if you want to come on the show, 216-859-8699. I know you've got the number. But the whole first episode basically focuses on Dan Schneider and how he got to Nickelodeon. But it has, and they even address it in the show that there's only so many people they could get to interview about this because a lot of them were afraid of legal repercussion from
Yeah.
Dan, from Nickelodeon, from
I mean,
the
I
production
believe
studio.
that. Which is so crazy, because you would think that
Do they
if
have NDAs?
I'm assuming some of them still do.
yeah, that would probably be an important factor. But, like, anyone who was on Victorious, anyone who was on iCarly,
Yeah.
anyone who was on,
Sam and Cat.
Sam-
all of that.
yeah, any of those, like Zoe 101,
Yeah.
The Amanda Show, they're all big enough names now
Yeah.
where we can direct it back to, oh, you were on The Amanda Show. Like, it
Yeah.
should be socially relevant enough to
Yeah.
where it'll get pushed to the top of everyone's feed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's the thing. So I'll break down a little bit of what the show is. So they talk about Dan Schneider a lot in the first one, and they have
Right.
2 female writers that were brought in to write for All That.
Uh-huh.
And one of the plot points they talk about is, well, they were forced to share one salary. And it was illegal, and it was never disclosed to them, and they just kind of
Yeah.
assumed that was something that, a lot of the writers were doing, but because they were just 2 women, and Dan Schneider apparently on record many times, I don't think women are funny, and like there's just like super sexist to them the
Yeah.
whole time they were there, and there's a whole bunch of like gross details they go into about that. But he made them share a salary. They both ended up quitting or being fired, one or the other. And they're the 2 main speaking heads there. There's 2 cast members from All That that are on there that talk. I'm sorry, there might be 4 because there's 2 different iterations of All That.
Yeah.
I think in total there's 4 as of right now that have come on the show and talked about their experience of how the cast was dealt with and how parents were kind of shuffled off at times, or it was they were forced to go against child labor laws and record after and things like that, and just kind of the shady side of that. But on top of all of them talking about their interaction with Dan Schneider, because that's again the main focal part here, because he was the creator of all these. There's also 2 other people that they talk about on there that are at least one of them I know went to prison. I think they both did, but at least one of them I know for sure went to prison for 6 years for child pornography and sex trafficking and all this other stuff that were on the set. One of them was a PA, a production assistant, that was basically in charge of keeping an eye on them too.
That's crazy.
And like, there's a whole bunch of gross detail they go into here about several different people and all these different things that were found.
I had read 2 separate stories about the 2 women writers.
Yeah.
I'd heard the one where she leaves and walks out after Dan makes a comment and like quits and sues.
Yeah.
And then there was another where Dan asked the lady to like bend over and say something again or something like that.
It was something that she had written, and he said, "Oh, it'd be funnier if you did it again, act like
in an enclosed writer's room with other guy, like only other guy." Yeah. That's so fucking crazy. Shit like that is so crazy to me that it just went on for so long, and and that's the thing. All of these shows were so successful. Anyone who comes out, like, I mean, clearly we have a docu-series about it now with names that are credible. You know what I mean? Like, more people can come out. You don't have to be scared.
Was Ned's Declassified on Nickelodeon?
Yeah, it was.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, they have a podcast where they literally talk about all the...
that podcast is so overhyped.
Well,
I like the show and I like them, but like that podcast sucks.
I haven't listened to any of it.
I've just seen clips.
I've watched the clips, where they talk about all the drugs and sex and stuff that went on behind scenes.
I read that Dan Schneider would like facilitate like parties after and like give the underage kids like alcohol.
They're all underage talking about. I saw one clip where the girl, I don't remember her name, but she said that one of the first times she ever tried drugs, it came from Dan Schneider.
And that's the thing. So again, I know I keep coming back to this, but a lot of it is just based around Dan Schneider because he's the head guy and he's creating all these shows and producing them. But
was the head guy for a very long time.
And nothing's really been done against him.
Right.
But and that was another interesting aspect is they actively had police on the set arrest these other 2 guys, and they charged them and they found all this stuff that was on their hard drives and their homes and stuff like that. And like, they were on screen as well as producers and like in charge of a lot of stuff there. So they got both of them. Nothing ever came back to Dan.
It's because he's a big name,
right? In fact, there's a crazy story I'll say real quick because it's not really prevalent. But one of the guys that ends up getting arrested, I guess they had a party at his house after a season of All That wrapped, and it was a barbecue or something like that. And
All That,
and they were showing the parents and the kids around the house and whatever. And the guy was talking was one of the kids. One of the cast of All That, and he goes, I just remember it being really weird. His house there was something off about it. He had a whole room that was like dedicated to vintage toys and stuff like that. And this garage, he had transformed into like this replica of Godzilla or something like that. I want to say it was Godzilla. It was like this. I'm sorry, Planet of the Apes. He's like he turned his whole garage into like a Planet of the Apes scene and everything in there, except for one painting of a clown. And so I asked about the clown painting, and he takes it down. He was super excited to show him, and he turns it over, and there's a message written on the back of it, and it was painted by John Wayne Gacy to him. And
my friend.
Yeah, the guy talks about it, and he's like, well, so I didn't know who he was at the time. I knew he was a killer, and knew he dressed like a clown. I didn't know about all the trafficking and stuff that he was doing. So I'm like 8, and I'm like, well, I feel like someone else should see this. So he brings his mom or his dad or someone outside, and all the other parents come outside, and the dude just shows it off again to everyone.
Like,
they're all
again with the same excitement.
Yeah, and he tells them how he's pen pals with John Wayne Gacy, and they've exchanged all this stuff and pictures.
Wild.
And like, how was that not a red flag there?
Wild.
So like, there's a bunch of stories like that, and then obviously just there's a whole. I think the second episode really gets into a lot of Amanda Bynes too, who at this point is not on the show, which I would think that'd be like a main person they'd try to get.
Yeah.
But it talks about how Dan Schneider basically was like always around her, and she was always not in because they had to go to class on set. She would never go to class. She was always with Dan Schneider, and they were very like touchy-feely with each other. Right. And when she left Nickelodeon to try and become an actual actor, I think she was like 16 when she was on What I Like About You, and Dan Schneider got a job on that show because of her as a producer. And like, there's a whole bunch of creepy stuff with Amanda Bynes that goes on. Obviously, we know how Amanda Bynes fucking ended up. But like,
she's doing better now.
I hope. But like, that's the thing that I thought would be talked about more is like they briefly talk about all these different child stars and how they ended up in like the path that led them down.
Mhm.
And I think going into this third episode, it's not out yet. Going into this third episode, that's going to be more the premise of that one.
Yeah.
But that's what I expected going into it, was like, oh, they're going to talk about what happened to specific instances.
Right.
Where it's at now, I'm not giving anything away because the clips are all over the place.
Yeah.
Again, it's called Quiet on the Set. If anyone
Yeah.
wants to check it out, it's on Max. But the clip ends. There's a producer from all that who's talking to him, and a couple of the cast and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets brought up that the one guy had just gone to jail, and they had found messages and things like that on his phone and his computer and emails.
Mm-hmm.
And so the last thing they talk about is the cops come in to the writer's room the one day. They ask the parents to leave, and it's just Dan and the cast, the children.
Mm-hmm.
And the cops are there, and they say, hey, so-and-so is not going to be here going forward. Does anyone, have anything that they want to say about him? He's not going to be here. You don't have to worry, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all, and the one guy who's talking from all that kind of looks around and is like, well, we're all just waiting. Is something going to happen? We don't know what's going on at this point.
Right.
And no one says anything, and he walks out. And then they tell the story about how he had like 6 counts of sexual assault or misconduct or something like that he got arrested for,
Mhm.
or there were 6 kids of it or something like that. And the last scene you see in this episode going out is the producer alongside who's like Dan Snyder's. He might have been the director. He was one of the guys, the writers or something on all that. Go, well, no, we knew. The cops came in and told us about what the charges were. He's like, but it wasn't anyone, from our cast or anything, right? And they're like, no, it was the one that came out and kind of exposed this whole thing. It was a Nickelodeon employee, and the dude didn't know. He was sitting there in the chair. He's like, who was it,
Mm-hmm.
And the episode leaves off, and Drake Bell comes in and sits down.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's sick,
Yeah.
bro.
So that's like the one, guy that
Damn,
apparently,
bro.
unfortunately, got molested or sexually assaulted as a minor, and that's how the episode
Bro.
ends, is him coming in to tell the story.
That's like Thor when he comes down to fucking Wakanda.
Yeah, that's
in
what
Infinity
it is.
War.
Same vibe.
Like, what?
But no, I
Everyone's
was
like, yeah, let's go, Drake. Yeah.
But I don't know what it, because again, we've talked about this before. I think on the show a couple weeks ago, as well as off air. Like, I'm not much of a true crime guy or like the murder mysteries or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was just because it was cartoons or Nickelodeon,
Right.
something like I was into. But like, I was fucking hooked as soon as that first episode started. Like, I highly recommend it.
No, dude, some of the
It's not an easy watch,
like
at all.
Leaving Neverland, the one that I was talking about, the Murdaugh trials on
Yeah.
Netflix, they're all like, for me at least, I was very hooked by. I think I like those kinds of things, maybe,
Yeah.
but like stuff like that to learn about, like, because they're exposing these vile people, and you like expect big legal action to
Yeah.
come after it drop. Like after Leaving Neverland, it's like you're expecting a big trial against Michael Jackson's estate or something
Right.
like that, and nothing ever, nothing ever happens. Nothing. It's just a conversation, which
But
I
it
think is so
also-
crazy.
It also really helps to have people watch this and be able to identify the red flags and teach
Yeah.
their children, like,
Yeah.
hey, these people are fucking weird. Stay away from them.
Right.
This is the point I was going to bring up earlier. In the first hour, we talked about when we talked about the Pittsburgh police,
Mhm.
that it's going to cause a rise in vigilante justice, and like it's a double-edged sword.
Right.
Yeah.
This is very much a thing of like this in several instances like it. You'd hope we're like, damn, we should have some police investigation and we should have people arrested. And obviously at the time, 2 people were,
Mhm.
at least to my knowledge so far. But like you said, Dan Schneider's been someone that's been talked about for a long time, and it seems like there's enough. I don't want to say evidence, but enough stories from people around him to be like, maybe there's something people should look into, a private investigator, something, and then be able to get the police involved. And that's the bad part about things like this is like, yeah, it's good that we have these documentaries and it's out now.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of the times, things like this end up working with the police if there is more.
Sure.
But it's very much an aspect of, vigilantism is against the law. And, it's because a lot of the time it's done for the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's done for the right reasons and it's something that the police aren't doing is the issue.
Mm-hmm.
You have something like Chris Hansen or all these predator catchers or scam baiters or
Right.
Bounty hunters.
Yeah, bounty hunters, scammer, payback that don't work necessarily or don't start working within the law. Now, a lot of them, like I know Scammer Payback does, obviously Chris Hansen does now,
Right,
and
right.
a
Pretty
lot of
sure
these
bounty
people,
hunters are like,
well, they're just
they have a license.
yeah, you have to get a license, and it's you're going for warrants.
Yeah.
But a lot of these people that are doing like vigilante justice on people who are scammed or catfished or wronged aren't stories or aren't things that are followed through from the police, unfortunately. And it's a shame, and it's the same thing in this situation where like I wouldn't call it vigilantism, but we have a documentary now, and it's great that people are speaking out,
Right.
and it's great that people are telling these stories, but kind of wish the police would get more involved.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's just very like because there's no follow up afterwards
Yeah.
with any of these. Like I was talking about with Leaving Neverland.
Sure,
Like,
yeah.
There's no, and sometimes it's like after the fact. Like
Yeah.
the trial already happens, or they're already in jail. It's already, and then sometimes it's like
Ex post facto.
yeah, ex post facto. And so like that makes sense, but yeah, you would think that like these, and I guess it's tough because then new information can come out that doesn't corroborate with the documentary.
Sure,
and then
yeah.
the documentary isn't, like that happened. That happened with Leaving Neverland.
I was gonna say they had to cut a whole part out of that, didn't they? They had to go back in.
The whole movie, Catch Me If You Can, is wrong.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
movie is a lie, and they thought that it was based on a true story.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you have to go back, and so that's where, I don't know, it's tough. This is all
Well,
very...
With sexual assault and things of that nature in general, there's everyday occurrences where there is no follow-up.
Right. This happens to, like, regular women just
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
street.
Regular women, children, men, and
Right.
everybody.
But
Yeah.
my issue is like you said, Shane. For years, we've seen these clips and these articles and videos and TikToks and Vines and Instagrams of people going, "Hey, Dan Schneider's kind of a weird dude. Why are kids doing this? Why is this in a kids show?"
Right.
And then we have actors like Jeanette McCurdy and Amanda Bynes and all these other people that come out and go, he was a weird dude. I don't know why we were doing that. Wasn't comfortable doing that.
Right.
And here we are. And as great as this documentary is, and I think you should all go watch it. Here we are, and we have a documentary now. That's cool and all. I want to know, how does this Dan Schneider step down from the company in the mid 2010s because of like all this stuff coming out, and like that was a big deal then. It was okay. Well, Dan Schneider, who's been this driving force of Nickelodeon, is finally stepping down because all this stuff is coming out.
Right.
And then nothing happened.
Then he just became a joke in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Right. And then
Yeah.
nothing happened. There was no legal action. We didn't hear about the Schneider trial or anything like that, Like it just kind of went under the rug, and that was it.
People
Super
lambasted Michael Jackson just for like. Yes, I mean, I don't know.
Right,
Nobody
that's-
knows.
that's the
but
thing.
like, they still put him in the public eye and called him a pedophile every second. But like,
Right.
Dan Schneider is a joke. And
So-
Dan Schneider's just he was that Nickelodeon guy. He did a good job.
Can I ask a hard hitting question?
Yeah.
Do you think that this is all a stunt? Do you think there's foul play by because my big question going into this, knowing that you had watched this, was going to be, what did Drake say? What did Drake Bell say?
And I knew that was going to get brought up, and I talked to Sean earlier today from Mikes and Men, and he said something about, I'm glad you watched this or something like that. How was it? And I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I saw an ad for it on YouTube. And again, that's why I was fine saying the Drake Bell thing, because they showed that as part of the promotional material of him walking out.
Right.
I'm like, oh shit, that's interesting, because again, and we've talked about this plenty to extent for the past 4 or 5 years now, he's been blacklisted and he's the bad guy, right?
Right.
So I'm like, that's an interesting move that he's in this, number one. Because everything he's done for the past 2 years has been in Mexico.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, you got my interest. And I saw the guy from All That was on. I'm like, all right, cool, let me check it out. So I watched it, watched the first 2 episodes, and I watched it specifically to see what this whole Drake Bell thing is, because they allude to it, they don't say it in these previews. And I'm like, all right, let's see, how credible this is.
Where's Drake?
Yeah, where's Drake? And the first 2 episodes, like I said, it focuses on all that focuses on Dan Schneider, and it looks like it's going to be a chronological thing
And
through the
it's
years.
Gonna get into the Drake
So
stuff.
yeah, so the end of episode 2 was them announcing that, oh no, someone on the Nickelodeon set spoke out, and that's why this guy got arrested. And then Drake Bell, he takes a seat in the chair, and the thing cuts to black.
Right.
So I'm sure that's how episode 3 will pick up. But that is, how I got interested in this. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting way to sell this.
Right, and like, I don't know. I don't want to call foul play, I guess. I just, like, he's been blacklisted, like you said, for so long, and he had to move to Mexico, and there's that thing with the Drake and Josh set that's being made in Mexico, and, like, nobody knows what's going on with that. And, like, I don't know. I don't want to be a dickbag, but could it be a PR stunt? Like, could this be foul play and him just trying to, like, butter up his name for the United States audience?
Sure. And again, I will say it was interesting too.
Because why hasn't Amanda Bynes, or why hasn't why haven't there been other big name stars before Drake Bell to come out and do this?
That was my question too. Because I mentioned, like, it's weird they talked, because they do like a whole show on Amanda Bynes and she's not in it.
Right.
And I'm like, that seems weird, because from everything I've heard recently, she was very outspoken about her time there and the abuse there.
Right.
She has
And
a
like,
TikTok page.
Sure. And it seems like that would be a person that they would reach out to, be like, hey, come on the show and talk. And I'm sure they reached out to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And again, they do talk about, like, hey, there's a reason not a lot of people are here. But it was interesting because I watched an interview on USA Today or something like that about the show before I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
And they had 2 of the cast members from all that talking about it. And they talk about the scene where Drake Bell comes out. And I guess this is the first time he's publicly addressed, that he was the one that made these claims, and he's the one that essentially got this guy caught.
Right.
And to my knowledge, and I up to this point, as far as we know, is that he was the only one of that guy who, I guess there were 6 kids involved,
Right.
with his abuse. That he was the only one that spoke out against him that we know was from Nickelodeon.
Okay.
And so, like, it was interesting to see, the build up to that. All of the actors. They don't shy away from the fact that of what he's done the past couple of years, but they sit there and like, no, we were really close to him, and it's a shame to see how everything turned out. But I don't doubt that this was, set him off down a bad road. I'm like, I can at least appreciate that part of it.
It
doesn't excuse it, but
Psychologically.
Yeah,
it
I
makes
do, and you can, like, see that track of him, like,
sense. If you psychoanalyze him, yeah.
going down that bad path and then going to Mexico and starting to revitalize your career in Mexico, and like that, that tracks if that is the case.
Right.
And to double down on that, if he is the first person speaking out, he's a damn hero.
Right.
Like, he's really leading the fucking way for all of these other
opening the door.
abusees,
Sure.
right? Victims.
Victims.
That can now speak or feel more comfortable to speak, I guess, because of someone like Drake Bell.
Check out Quiet on the Set. It's streaming on Max now. It's still coming out. 216-859-8699 is the number to text into the show. It works for all of our shows, not just the Rebel Radio Show. We're live every Monday at 5 p.m. on WSRR Radio, 10 a.m. Eastern Time in podcast form. It's the Rebel Podcast out every Wednesday. All of our shows are found at stylesrebelradio.com, like Shaney's off air. We've got The Pigeonhole, Beyond Bounds, 50 episodes of the Sports Avenue podcast with Jimmy Simonis. A whole bunch of great content there as well. That stylesrebelradio.com gets you the link to the station. That's WSRR Radio. Make sure you download the Live 365 app. Take us with you wherever you go. Until next time, I'm Radio's Rebel DJ Styles. To my right is Shaney.
Hi, everyone.
On the board is Jules.
Adios.
Peace.